Sup, everybody? Happy 4th of July to my fellow American friends and relatives. And I just actually got done from a workout a while ago, and right now it's 10 p.m. here in the Philippines. No, actually, it is 10 p.m. right now, and in places like Los Angeles, it's like around like 6:10 p.m. and in New York it's like 10 a.m. and in Washington is like around 7:10 p.m. No, I just want to say everything that I want to say about this day, July 4th. It's been a hell of a 250 years, man. I mean, at this point, it is like the USA is like the biggest country in the world, man. And I actually don't have a script right now with me. I didn't prepare it as usual because it just feels disingenuous if I just read from script. But anyways, I don't I don't know where to start, man. But though I want to start with my experience in America, USA. Yo, back then in 2018 of May, that was when I that was when I went there, and it was actually during mid May of 2018, and the first city that I went to was in New York, and man, there's a lot of good and bad that came with that city. I mean, New York, the landscape and everything in Times Square, it just looks so goddamn glamorous, man. It was like seeing. I actually stayed in the Holiday Inn hotel, around those times, and then there I actually tried like Arby's for the first time. And you know, I, back in the day, when I when I still had cable, like I I get to see like a plethora of these American commercials, like especially whenever I watch the NBA TV channel, and I always wanted to try Arby's, and when it you know it I the first one that I tried was the buffalo chicken sandwich over there, and man, it really tastes good. Although though there were although there were the bad when I went there, you know, besides the Knicks haven't won around that year, is like they back then in 2018, it was still 45 years since they won a won a championship. Now look in 2026, they already won. No, such as the subway, such as rats, for example. And it just goes to show that I the U.S. isn't always all that perfect. In fact, I don't think there's such thing as a perfect country. Hell, I don't even believe in a perfect world. I mean, not in the sense that I don't want peace, but that's something that's really impossible to reach. Perfection. Because we'll always have flaws in ourselves. Some that'll help us grow out of it. Some that'll get us to worse places. And anyway, speaking of the other states, such as New Jersey, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington. But when I went to Washington, I actually saw the White House, and Trump was actually president around that time. It was his first term, and I saw a bunch of protesters over there, and you know, outside the White House, and I also saw the monument over there, and though I did miss the going to the Smithsonian Museum, that was the biggest miss ever. And I'd like to go there again once I return to the U.S. real soon. And there's New Jersey as well. Well, where actually it was where the show Sopranos was took place in. I actually didn't take a place of some of the pictures there, but I actually went to the mall over there to buy those red Jordan trainers. They're not actually basketball shoes, they're actually like training shoes or like running shoes from what I could tell. Because at the time I was actually trying to look for boxing shoes or wrestling shoes, but they didn't have it. But again, I got the Asics, you know, the one that you could just see it in my Instagram. You could just follow me over there at DOG Kenny Drew. But then I went to Philadelphia, where I climbed up the stairs at the where they had the statue of Rocky Balboa, and I actually took a picture over there. And then there's the cheesesteaks as well that I tried. And the fruits over there, like the blackberries, the raspberries, I actually tried it for the first time because I haven't actually tried them yet. But I did try blueberries before, back then, but not any raspberries or blackberries. Besides that, I actually went to the Liberty Bell. Where they actually sign. Oh wait, let me check. Yeah, the Liberty Bell rang when they rang the Liberty Bell during the Declaration of Independence. When it was read in July 8th of 1776. Then I went to Boston. That's where I could have. I've mentioned many times before that I wished I would have seen the Cavs versus Celtics Eastern Conference Finals around that time. But you know, it was just one day over there in Boston, and I did try the crab sandwiches over there, and you know, I did have my pictures over there at the parks over there. You know, Boston is, I mean, it looks so damn clean compared to the others. I mean, I feel like I'm using the word clean too loosely, but who even cares, to be honest? And you know, after that, I went back to the Philippines, and there's that. I didn't have enough time there in the U.S. I really, really want to go back there. Now, enough with the. I already talked about my whole trip. Now let's get to the next one, which is like the everything that I missed out on when I went to the U.S. or or I wish I could have done going to the U.S. You know, I honestly wish that I could, I wish that I could, be able to. And it's not just celebrate the 4th of July over there with my relatives or, or the my future family that I want to create, but as well as Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, New Year's, even a month of summer over there. That's what I felt like I missed out on. And I felt like I've also missed out on being able to watch a sports game live over there. I mean, the atmosphere there is wild and intense over there, man. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to disrespect too much of my my fellow Filipino athletes, but I mean, I'm talking about the ones in the Philippines, not the half Filipino player guys like Dylan Harper or Jordan Clarkson, who won the 2026 NBA championship with the Knicks. But I already mentioned that before in my previous video at my other channel, Crossover Canton. You know, and there, and I feel like I've also missed out on the most of all the FIFA World Cup this year, man. You know, that as I would skip my whole last class. No. I would skip weeks of this college just so I could be able to watch the FIFA World Cup. People expected the FIFA World Cup to suck, and I did too back then, because of everything that went down, such as the transportation expenses and all. Then came to realize, well, no, not me, but then Europeans that came in, or Japanese, the Koreans, the Mexicans, the Middle East, you know, uh, they realize that it's not as bad as what the media say it is. Obviously, it still has its flaws, especially within the U.S. government and and some of these other corporations. But it just shows that just like what everyone said, that there's unity within each and every one of us in the world, as long as we don't let what our government what our governments try to what our governments try to do so that we could stay divided, and we shouldn't let that get to us. And alright, what else am I gonna talk about? I guess U.S. culture in and of itself. I guess 1776 was 250 years ago, and that's when the Declaration of Independence was created, and then though it was actually signed on August 2 of 1776, and we've seen how our founding fathers, and it's not just them, but for everyone else in history, the men and the women of the past, seeing how much they've contributed to the freedoms that the USA has. You know, we are, we should be thankful for them. We've actually, American culture itself is really like the most mainstream culture that ever is. I mean, look at everything that we have, from movies to video games to TV shows. A lot of them are produced in the USA, and you can say whatever you want about Hollywood and whatever's going on behind closed doors, but they did really create some of the best movies ever. I mean, I could go on and count the numerous films, such as such as Rocky, Terminator, Back to the Future, The Godfather, Dark Knight, Pulp Fiction, The Shawshank Redemption, etc., etc. And we also see in sports how much the U.S. has been a dominant force. And although in football, which they call soccer, actually you could call it whatever you want. Football, soccer, it really doesn't matter. To be honest, I honestly don't care. I mean, I think it's such a pointless conversation. It's a pointless, non-stop, non-stop debate or argument over which or what it should be called. It's up to you. You know, you're allowed to. You're free to think whatever. You know. Now back to sports in general. You know, it has had a huge history over the years. I mean, from basketball to boxing to swimming or etc. etc. Like the list is pretty endless. Wait, hold on. Gotta charge. Yeah. So anyway, like we've seen the best of the best represent the country, such as Muhammad Ali, obviously Mike Tyson, George Foreman, Sugar Ray Leonard. Let's see, what else we got? Roy Jones Jr., Andre Ward, or the other. Joe Frazier. Who else? Oh, Oscar De La Hoya. These Olympic gold medalists in boxing. Oh, they really earn. They really earn whatever they achieve. They became some of the greatest boxers, to have the greatest boxers in history. And obviously, there's basketball, and we know how much of a global superstar Michael Jordan has ever been. He is he is you know he's inspired tons and tons of, well, to be honest, I mean everyone wore Jordans because of him. It's become such a huge brand. I mean Michael Jordan really made Nike the iconic brand that it is today, and seeing how many other guys like Kobe, LeBron, you know, that um, went toe to toe with Jordan on the GOAT debate. I mean, obviously there are others such as Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Will Chamberlain, Tim Duncan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell. But no one will ever top Michael Jordan as the most popular American athlete in history. And of course, who could forget the music itself? And we all know that Michael Jackson is the most popular, the mo not not the most popular, but the biggest artist in history. and seeing how much he's he's influenced not only American art, not only his influence didn't just transcend in the U.S. but also all across the globe, especially in tribal countries. You know, those that are those that are really far away. He is like the biggest one, that isn't Jesus, because Jesus Christ will always be the most popular figure in history, and we all owe the glory to him. We owe the glory to God. I really, it was really hard for me to put in all the words in this without a script, cause this, and even though, like I've mentioned many times, that even though I'm actually not in the USA right now, I'm here in the Philippines. This this particular holiday, the 4th of July, it really holds so deep in my heart because of what, not only because of what it represents, but it shows how much everyone can stand strong in unity. That's why it's called the United States of America. We are all one in this world. And as for my American friends or relatives, I do hope everything's good over there. And I really want to see y'all sooner as well than later. Most of my followers on Instagram and Facebook are actually from the U.S. More than those in the Philippines. I actually only have like 369 followers on Instagram, but the numbers are beside the point. I do hope that my message to everyone in the U.S. was that there will always be hard times, and even though not all of them have led us into good in the long run. Even though that there are huge consequences that come when when we fall through some of the terrible choices that we make. That we always now we don't always have a chance, but it's not always a guarantee. But if we do have a chance, I do hope that you actually take that chance to become better, to improve on yourself. That's what this is what it's all about. Well, you could believe whatever you want about the American dream and all that, And do I think that the US is the greatest nation in the world? I mean, to be honest, I'm still trying to find an answer. But it is a great nation, true and true. Despite all despite all the bad that's happened over the years, despite all the despite all the wars, despite all the despite all the past that has left that has left some people deeply scarred for the rest of their lives. Some that but some trauma that they'll have a hard time getting through. However, I still believe I still believe in hope. I still believe in love. And it's not just it's not just for USA or my country, the Philippines, or or just the citizens of the US or everyone else around the world, but to God as well. And I'm not really a religious person as much as I was before. However, I still believe in the higher ups. And if you don't, it's alright. I do respect your beliefs. So, that's why that's what the US is all about. We can agree to disagree or whatever opinion that we have, you know, our policies or these corporations do. However, you can still you can still have love for each other despite all these differences. I thank everyone so much. Um, I thank my not just my relatives from the USA and my friends, but as well as to my friends over here in the Philippines, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts. You know, I'm thankful for them as well. I, and although it's not the most grand celebration of the 4th of July that I'm having right now, but it is something that I want to be able to celebrate even with less, and I'm okay with that. Maybe in the future I'll be able to celebrate the 4th of July real soon. My my relatives over there in the U.S. and as well as my friends over there. I guess that's all for today, for tonight. Once again, happy Independence Day to the USA. And I'll be back there as soon as possible. And when I do, I'll, when I do return there, I'll be happier than I've ever been. That's all for now. Peace.